Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to know about the use of rubrics in higher education. Rubrics is one of the effective tools for evaluation based on specified criteria. It assesses, analyzes and examines our performance while helping us improve the same. Most importantly, one has to make sure and work with the quality standards. First, let us know what is meant by rubrics. A rubric is one of the assessment tools that gauge your success criteria by including all the components of any student-based task ranging from verbal to visual. In simple words, it is responsible for keeping an account of the learner's academic performance like class grades, assignments, participation in class, and whatnot. A rubric mentions the expected outcomes and allows the students to achieve them, such that one can assess their achievement as per the mentioned criteria. Rubrics are the scoring criteria that can help in ensuring consistency while letting the students evaluate their work. A rubric is a tool of assessment or instruction that consists of several features, which are as follows. Number 1. Criteria. Rubric comprises a list of criteria which helps the students understand the expected outcomes or objectives an educator has formed them. Number 2. Gradations. Gradations highlight if the expected quality standard has been met or not. It consists of a scale that shows the description of what performance has resulted as fair, good, needs improvement, etc. Number 3. Descriptions. It mentions how a quality assignment appears. In addition, descriptors enable the students to assess and find out their scores. Number 4. Reliability. A favorable rubric used by the teachers should facilitate students to arrive at a similar score regarding any assignment or work. And number 5 is validity. A rubric should possess validity while marking the scores based on overall academic performance instead of making it an easy or a simple task for teachers while grading. To create a rubric for assessment or evaluation of a project or a work, the following are how one can do so. Number 1. Define your goal. Before you create a rubric, determine the type of rubric one wishes to use, such that it can be determined by the goals or objectives of the assessment. Number 2. Choose a type of rubric. There are several types of rubrics. Those should have standards that can help the educators determine how to go about it. Also, one can opt for analytical rubric or holistic rubric. Number 3. Determine the criteria. In this step of creating the rubric, one has to decide the list of skills an educator would like to evaluate students on, like a particular subject. After that, one can even group them based on similarities to avoid technicalities. Number 4. Mention the performance level. Once you decipher the levels at which the students demonstrate expertise, you will have to figure out what type of scores you are likely to assign on each level of mastery. Most of these ratings range between the levels of 3 to 5, whereas other teachers mainly assign letter grades, numbers, and percentages. Number 5. Mention the descriptors for every level of a rubric. It is one of the difficult steps in creating a rubric. However, one has to write about the expectations under each performance level as per every criterion. The description of the same has to be rational and measurable. And number 6 is revise your rubric. Once you create the descriptive language for each level, the rubric has to be limited to a particular page. Specifying too many criteria can become difficult for assessment and might become an inadequate way of evaluating the learner's expertise based on a specific standard. First, let us know about the pros of rubrics. Number 1. Rubrics are responsible for providing the students with expected outcomes and objectives. They even allow them to understand several techniques to be adopted in a learning process to secure a perfect score in their tests, assignments, etc. Number 2. Rubrics helps the students in deciphering their strengths, weakness, while mentioning comprehensive feedback on their academic performance. With this, learners become their own teachers and judge the quality of their work accordingly. Number 3. Rubrics are one of the efficient tools that encourages the teachers to set guidelines and benchmarks to gauge the students' performance or progress. And number 4. With rubrics, students can become more objective, thoughtful, and even more mindful. Now let us talk about the cons of the rubrics. Number 1. Initially, rubrics are time-consuming, but once they have been laid out, they are adaptable to several assignments, subjects, grades, etc. Number 2, sometimes the learners might continuously question the educators regarding their expected outcomes, where they end up asking for the same for every assignment they are designated. Rubrics adopted by the teachers encourage better learning. They aim at evaluating or assessing the students' work efficiently. In addition, educators pay more attention to maintaining the standards which a student must accomplish. Rubrics even serve as one of the tools through which the students feel motivated, while the teachers helps them unfold the necessary steps to enhance their work. The teachers or educators are responsible for formulating the types of assignment that encourages the learners to aim for or fulfill a higher level of accomplishment. Rubrics serve as leverage and helps the students work on their performance. All the learners who become a part of this rubric process gain a better understanding of the gradations, expectations, etc. The learners are involved in the creation of the rubric, and this way they become focused and more responsible. Rubric is one of the constructive tools used in higher education. It is defined as the scoring criteria that assesses students' work while listing out specific guidelines for a project or an assignment. Each mentioned criteria specifies a gradation scale. This scale is primarily qualitative and helps the educators and learners in analyzing their performance.